Hey folks, Todd here. Today we're going to install the Husky Lightshield PRO on this 2020 Ram 2500. The tools I'll be using for this installation are a pair of scissors and a test light. It's also a good idea to have a pair of gloves like nitrile or latex. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring our light shield up against the hood and get it kind of set in place. We're going to actually kind of tape it in place temporarily for right now, so we're just going to use some blue tape. All right, now we're going to get this lined up and centered side to side. And once we have it set where it's going to be, we're going to go ahead and push down on the tape. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to run right along this edge right here. What that's going to do is that's going to help show me exactly where this is going to be placed on the hood, so we can have a line to prep underneath. All right, now we can go ahead and release the rest of the tape. Okay, now that we know exactly where the hood is going to be, we've got it marked, we can go ahead and prep directly below the blue tape line and directly above the edge of the hood line. And what we're going to do is we've got some alcohol prep pads and we've also got some surface prep. I'm going to show you with the alcohol prep pads first. We're going to go ahead and tear those open. Go ahead and start wiping down very thoroughly along this surface. Now you want to make sure that you get any kind of residue off of this surface. Also, you want to make sure that you're at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit in your area. Now, if you've got a ceramic coating, that ceramic coating also needs to be removed before we go any further using the instructions of that ceramic coating manufacturer. Because ceramic coating is made for things to not stick to it, and we're using 3M tape that's made to stick to adhesive, or made to stick to automotive grade paint. Also, if you've done ceramic, after you've removed it, you want to make sure that you do also use rubbing alcohol to remove any kind of residues. And even if you haven't had a ceramic coating, use rubbing alcohol to remove wax buildup, soap residue, anything like that. Okay, let's go ahead and prep the light shield. Okay, so now here we have our hood shield. We need to go ahead and prep this. This is our light bar that's going to go into the hood shield. On this side of the hood shield, you'll see that there's an opening that our harness has to go through. So what we're going to do, that light bar is going to sit in like so. So what we're going to do is go ahead and feed that harness through. So we're going to go ahead and pull the rest of our harness through. And now we're ready to adhere our light bar into this location right here. So what we're going to do to get that prepped is we're going to use some of our alcohol prep pads that have been included in our kit. We're going to go ahead and wipe that down really well. Should already be nice and clean, but this is just going to kind of remove any kind of residues that might be there, any kind of packaging dust, anything like that. We're going to let that dry. And now we're going to use our surface prep out of our kit. We're going to go ahead and tear that open. And what this is going to do is this is going to allow the 3M tape to adhere to the plastic surface. All right, we're going to go ahead and let that dry. And as that is flashing, I'm going to go ahead and start peeling away a little bit of the adhesive from each side on our light bar. And I'm having both sides coming off the top of the light bar. You have either both coming off the top of the light bar or both coming off the bottom of the light bar. Otherwise, you won't be able to pull it all the way through. All right, and once that surface prep has flashed, we can go ahead and take our light bar, set it in place, and bear down. Get our good initial tack there. Once we've gotten that initial tack from bearing down nice and tight, we can go ahead and peel out the rest of this and then bear down the rest of the way all the way across. All right, next what we're going to do is go ahead and flip the light shield upside down. Now you'll notice we've got a length of wire that does not have loom on it. And it's because we got what we call a service loop that we can put in here. This way, if you were to damage the light bar on the trail or something like that, something hits that light bar and damages it, you don't have to replace the entire thing. You'll have a little extra wire in case you just need to replace the light bar. You'll have something you can pull through. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of twist that around. And since this is going to be feeding out here, what we're going to do is just kind of take either some painter's tape or just some really non-aggressive tape and just kind of hold that in place so that we can get this installed. All right, now that we've got our service loop in place, I'm going to go ahead and start working from the center out. Now, every place where you see that there is a divide in the tape, we need to peel away the adhesive protector just a couple of inches each place. So it's going to be peel back here, peel back here, peel back here. That way we're working from the center out. And then what we're going to do is I'm also going to take a little bit of tape and hold the tape protector on the other side of the shield. That way we can still access it once it's peeled away and once we set it on top of the hood. That way we don't have to worry about anything getting kind of tucked underneath there where we can't really grab a hold of it. So Okay, so real quick, here's what we've got. We've got all the pieces working from the center out, taped back, and then kind of stuck temporarily to the front side. That way we can go ahead and grab it whenever we need to. Now we're gonna go ahead and take this and the harness, walk up to the truck, and very carefully set in place onto the hood. Keep in mind, this is gonna wanna grab a hold of that paint real quick. We don't want it to bond just yet. So we're gonna set that in place, and I'll show you what to do next. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and set the harness kind of out of the way. Just gonna let that drop. And I'm gonna set the shield in place. We wanna put it down very carefully because it is going to want to grab a hold of that paint as soon as it touches with the adhesive. And we don't want it to really bond until we know that it's centered on both sides. Looks like it might actually have to move to the side a little bit. All right, there we go. Now we're going to kind of press down here for initial contact. Before we press down on this one right here, what we want to do is route this underneath the hood. So I've already wiped down the top surface of this with alcohol. I'm going to pop the hood real quick and wipe down the bottom surface because it's going to have to wrap around. And then we're also going to be using a piece of foam tape to cover that up to keep that from chafing. I'm going to go ahead and pop the hood and show you how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and raise the hood just a little bit. Now our harness is going to have to go kind of underneath between the hood gasket and the hood. So I'm going to take and wipe that surface down real good with alcohol prep pad. And now I can go ahead and start routing my harness in between there. Now, if it's helpful for you to mark this location with like a Sharpie or a grease pencil, you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and get this set in place exactly where it needs to be so I can see where everything is going to go through. And once I've got that set up like so, we're going to take our foam tape out of our kit. Go ahead and peel that away. Want to bring that up where it goes underneath the hood shield and then wrap around and adhere to the hood on the bottom side. Then we can go ahead and continue to make sure everything's lined up and bear down to get our initial tack. Now we can go ahead and start peeling from the center out. As you go, make sure everything is lined up before you press down to make the bond. piece here. There we go. All right, this is how I like to run everything in. All the areas where we have adhesive touching the paint, I like to take a microfiber cloth and kind of bear down and run it right along the hood shield. That gives us a really good application and allows us to put good pressure all the way across. If you run it back and forth a few times, that'll give you a really great bond. You don't have to worry about anything coming loose. All right, after you've run it in really well, what we're going to do is go ahead and pop the hood and continue running the wires. Okay, so here's our wire coming from our light shield up top. Now we're going to route it down, and then it's going to come down here and then go underneath this bar down to where our headlight is. So I'm going to go ahead and set that in place for right now. We're going to tie this off after we get everything wired up and connected. All right, so these three wires, the yellow, the black, and the brown, are going to go to our headlight on this side, the harness on this side, and the green is going to stretch across to the passenger side and do the passenger side turn signal. So let me go ahead and show you the harness for the headlight. Now this is down below, it's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it out and show you what you have to do to pull this out. So you've got this clip right here that will be in. You want to pull that red clip out, then push down and pull free from the housing. That's how you disconnect it. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to use the test light. So this is our harness. This is a test light right here. If you're not familiar with them, this right here you want to clip to a ground. So we're going to go to a ground location underneath the hood. All right. Now what we're going to do is turn on to get this turn signals, we're going to turn on the hazard light. And with that hazard light on, we can go in and start just testing different spots in the connectors to see where it starts to light up. So I've already actually checked ahead. This is the location where we're going to have a turn signal. So what I've done is I've gone down here and looked, and we've got this little wire here that I've got marked with a piece of blue tape is what we're going to tap into for our left turn signal. When we look at our wire here, the three wires coming out, the yellow wire is going to go to the left turn signal. The black wire is going to go to a ground on this particular harness. This corner wire right here, that black wire is our ground. So we're going to connect this black wire from our harness to the ground, and then we're going to go ahead and turn off the hazard light and then turn on our parking lights, and with our parking lights we'll get power right here at this one. So that's going to be this wire right here. So the brown wire in our kit is going to tie into this white with orange stripe wire. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to attach these wires to the harness. The first one I'm going to do is the brown wire. This is going to be for our parking light, or it actually can go to your parking light or your headlight. So we're going to the white with orange stripe wire. Now yours might be a different color depending on when your truck was made, but what we're going to do is take the PosiTap connector from your kit. You're going to have a gray end. Unscrew the gray end from the PosiTap connector, and you're going to have a split in that gray end. So that split is going to kind of go around the wire like so. And then we're going to take this piece, which has got a prong that's inside there, and we're going to screw it back in. And what that does is it's going to penetrate down into the wire and create a connection. Next, what we're going to do is the red end, we're going to unscrew that. We're going to take our brown wire, go through that red end. And we've got a little bit of, the insulation stripped off. That's going to go through the red end, go into the connector here, and then as we're kind of holding that wire in place, we're going to screw this back down, get it nice and tight, and now you have a good connection. We're going to repeat the same with the other two. So we've got the black wire that's going to go to our ground here, and the yellow wire that's going to go to the one I've got marked with a blue tape. All right, now for our ground wire. All right, now we can go ahead and plug this back into the headlight housing. And then we're going to run this side over to the passenger side. Now we will tie this off and secure it after we're done wiring everything in. We're going to make sure it stays well away from our fan up front. Okay, now here is our harness for our passenger side headlight housing. I've already done the test light and found that this wire right here is the wire that I've got marked with a blue tape. That is for our turn signal. So I used the hazard light, found the turn signal, that's the wire. We're going to do the exact same thing with this PosiTap connector here. Go ahead and pull that out. Go right through. And screw that on. And then unscrew the red cap end. And our green wire that extends over here, that is for the passenger side turn signal. Turn signal and hazard light is the same bulb. All right, now we can go ahead and reconnect that. And once we do that, I'm going to go ahead and tie all this off. I'm going to pull it nice and tight so it's way away from my fan or any kind of moving components. All right, now also in our kit, we're going to have some clips for wires. This is great to keep this stuff up on the hood. So we're going to see where these go, wipe it down with alcohol, peel off the 3M tape. And then stick it to it, bury in real good. And lock that in place. It looks like I'm going to need a couple of them here. We got enough. We'll use one more. All right, there we go. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online.